Hey guys, welcome back. Tonight we're going to talk about a set from November of 1994. That's right, Fallen Empires. Is this empire starting to rise? It's very interesting and it's coming up next. Hey guys, welcome back. MTG Moxman here. If you're new to the channel and you somehow found me out there in YouTube land, well hey, welcome aboard. Glad you joined in the fun. Now, as you guys saw from that thumbnail, we're talking about Fallen Empires. Now, the buyouts have gone across the board, and that doesn't mean Fallen Empires is excluded. Fallen Empires was a 102 card set, a very small set in November of 1994. It had 8 card booster packs, and there were 60 booster packs in a box. The same as the Dark, the same as Homelands. Now, when you look at the Dark, it has 27 cards on the reserve list. And of those cards, of course, most of them are not that great. Most don't find homes in any kind of Commander or Vintage Legacy decks. Old school 93, 94, though, you know, you're going to see some cards there. So I decided to take a look for the people of this channel to see if there was cards worth value. Now, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, we're talking Fallen Empires. Why are you talking Fallen Empires? I understand. And a year ago, I wouldn't have thought anything of this conversation. I would have ignored it. But I can't ignore it for you guys. I have to go looking. And what made me go looking is I was looking at box prices. Because as you can see, like right behind me here, I have a Fallen Empires box. Okay? That Fallen Empires box I bought for 135 bucks 10 years ago, 2011. I didn't realize it had quite been so long, but nobody cared about the set. Nobody liked Fallen Empires. We enjoyed it for that first, 5-6 months, and we bought lots of packs at our local stores back in '94, but I gotta be honest, it lost a lot of its luster when Ice Age, Alliances, and all these better, more powered, evenly powered sets. It seemed very underwhelming when you got to those higher tiered cards that came out in the future sets like Lake of the Dead. But now looking back at all the years of Magic, and you see the cards they printed, you have to ask yourself, is there anything worthwhile? Is there anything worth looking at? Well, the first thing that made me start looking, guys, the first thing that made me say, hey, what is going on with this set, is when we first saw the box prices going up, okay? So I'll show you this one. When the box prices started to rise, and the booster packs started to rise, you see it going kind of gross, right? You're like, that's $1,000 a box. Each pack is $17. That was the cheapest packs available, guys. That's the cheapest packs. Not the most expensive. The cheapest. Crazy to see. And the sales were as of this weekend. Here we are Monday, February the 1st, and these things were happening. It was crazy to think about that this was going on. So when you see that and you go, okay, these prices are going up. Is there more prices going up? Is there other things catching our eye that make the Moxman here take a look? Well, guess what? There is. Earlier this month, into the middle of this month, you saw sales of $900 a box. Anywhere investors see old boxes disappearing, there's a potential for old cards, even not great cards, to have value going forward for investors, okay? Of the 572 cards in reserve list, we are talking 27 cards belong to Fallen Empires. Minotaurs are used, and there's Minotaurs in the deck. You got artifacts, all you gotta do is find an artifact with a little bit of a tweak to it. Is there any creatures or tribals that can be used? Is there any cards being played in Commander now? Is there any lands in the land base being used? That's what we're looking at, and that's what you're checking to see. And there are cards usable on the reserve list. Now, I finished looking at a few more cards by looking at boxes that sold at the beginning of the month into this buyout we had now. Boxes were already rising, which means the stock is finally going lower. I gotta be honest, guys, as a person who played way back in that day, all the time my local LGS, when Fallen Empires became unpopular, it dropped down to like 75 cents a pack. We still bought them the odd time. It's still something to kick around, hoping to get a hymn to Turok or something, right? But we were still buying the odd time. But you weren't thinking about the future. So just like most sets, Fallen Empires was printed to oblivion. It's the first set that was printed to oblivion. But most of the cards were used, and most people didn't care. So a lot of Fallen Empires cards between me and you out there have been abused. So any of the cards I show you today, any of the cards we go over, near mint only. I'm just going to say it now, near mint. Not light played, not moderate played, not heavy played. Near mint. Spend the money, get the near mint ones, because somebody finishing a collection, somebody who's going to BGS grade for a collector 10 years down the road, they're going to want near mint copies only, okay? Just something definitely to keep in mind. Now, wait, I already did that one? All right. The Conch Shell. Now, the conch horn here is one of the artifacts going up. It is played in Commander, and I'll explain why. You see light played copies here for $6.37, $6.46, $4.76 for moderately played. Now, for these cards here, guys, they're used because the conch horn's 2 to get out, 1 tap and sacrifice the conch. Draw 2 cards and put 1 card from your hand back on top of your library. That's actually pretty convenient when you look about it and how cards are played in Commander, Legacy, Vintage, or even Old School. This is not a bad card. This thing had over 40 sales in the last 7 days. It is selling. All different copies are selling from different editions, like different qualities of the card, but you're going to want the best quality you can get. A near mint for like $7. Buy a playset for $28. Keep it just in case you need it later. It's not going to hurt you as an investor. It's not going to hurt you as a collector. It's not going to hurt you as a player if this is a card you're going to need. You don't want to get this card 5-6 years from now after more buyouts have happened and it's at a ridiculous level. And I understand it's kind of scary to think that I'm talking reserve list cards in Fallen Empires. I understand. But it's one of the few sets that people aren't taking too seriously yet that newer investors or small people want to get some of the older cards can now buy into. I'm only recommending a couple like this, and again, I'm an entertainment channel. This is my opinion on these cards based on what I've looked at and researched for you, okay? It's definitely a good one. Now, next one, Thrall Champion. I put this as a poll on my channel about Tribal, and I put Thrall down. They have been hinting at Thralls coming back. You notice they smatter Thralls in throughout different sets. Tevash Savat from Commander Legends makes Thralls. Thrall Champion is used in 5 different Commander decks. He is a 5 casting cost, 1 black, 4 other. He comes in as a 2/2, but all Thralls get +1/+1, including his own Thralls. So that's him. He counts as a Thrall in this case. So he actually comes in as a 3/3. He taps to take control of target Thralls. Awesome. But if he can choose not to untap to maintain control of that tap Thrall. So as a card, near mint copies for, let's say, $4 each. Playset of 4 for like $12 to $16 for near mint, and you sit on them. It is played in Commander, and if you wanted to build a Tevash Savat Commander deck, you're going to be buying him anyway. So you might as well get a playset. It's not going to cost you a lot of money, and they haven't really been hit up, although it had like 70 sales in the last 5 days. There is a large quantity, but people were buying all kinds of conditions. Look for the near mint only, okay? Because right now you can afford the near mint before they become ridiculous. A BGS 9-10 of this card 10 years from now, who knows? Maybe worth nothing, but at the same time, it could be worth something, and this small amount investment might be worth it. All right, the next one I wanted to show you guys today is, of course, Rainbow Veil. Rainbow Veil was a good land back then we used to use. It's still a good land now. I'll tell you how we used it. Rainbow Veil does not come into play tapped. Already a bonus. It taps for any color mana. What are you talking about? The only downside is, at the end of your turn, when you say done, pass the turn, it goes over to your opponent. Okay. But there are ways of getting rid of that. We used to use the Zern Orb and stuff to blow up our own land, and then we'd find different ways of bringing it back when we cycled it through. Okay, so there are ways of keeping this on your side. There are ways of taking control of it. There are ways of unsummoning it, destroying it. But the fact it gives you any color of mana you want is amazing, right? It's like, wow! So people are buying this card, and it's already at $10 each. Again, look for the near mint copies only as they appear. Only buy near mint copies of this particular card. I'm already kind of leery recommending buying Fallen Empires. That's why I picked these 3 particular cards, because they are played in multiple formats. Because they're played in multiple formats, they're going to have a broader range of people who may buy them from you in the future. Or, if you're a player who plays these multiple formats, you might want to get one before they become ridiculously expensive. You can buy the beat-up copies for only a couple of dollars. If you just want a couple of playsets for yourself, or a playset of beat-up copies for like $5-6, go ahead! Treat yourself, spend that $5 and get some of this card before it becomes expensive later on. This is an early buy. I consider these early, like way before they'll actually have serious buyouts. But we've seen too many lands, all the way down to like Voros, that were like $30-40 a year ago, are now closing 200. So we can't really afford to let the Rainbow Veil slip through our fingers, can we? Get it while you can. And I want to end this video off. I want to mention a couple things. If you look here, people are BGS rating these cards. They're PSA rating packs. This is a 9 for $100. Think about that. It's a Fallen Empires pack that's been graded. That tells you that its stock is drying up. Okay, they are selling. I believe even Rudy at Alpha Investments, I remember, look at that bottom sale. That's his listing on eBay. He sold his packs back then for $4 or $5. The shipping's always been ridiculously high to Canada, but at the time, they were $4 or $5. Here we are a couple of years later, $38 a pack. When you see that $1,700 in sold listings from him, that's over years and years of selling. He bought like a pallet or something way back then. I think I remember seeing a video on it. And of course, the only Fallen Empires box that's buy it now is almost $2,000 now. Guys, it's dried up. If it's dried up finally after 25 years, 26 years of Magic, you're looking at the fact that these cards are going to go up. These used to be drafted at my store. My local LGS people could still buy a box for $200 and draft it. We made mention of this when the prices first started to rise about 6 months ago, that it finally hit $1,000, guys. This is getting to a very high value box, right? Just because of the age of it being way back in '94. So you got to remember that the cards, the ones that are sealed, are the ones people are really going to go after when they come out, you know, near mint. But it's also the centering, the look of it, the feel of it. Only go for near mint copies, guys, but it's something I thought you guys should know about today. It was very interesting to do the video to see there are lots of cards that have risen, but those are 3 targets I think are viable options if you're somebody who's going to use it in a commander deck or somebody using for play decks and stuff and play formats that aren't regularly used right now that could be used later, okay? Near mint copies only. All right, guys, any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments section below. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was MTG Marksman. I will see you as soon as I find a way to push the button. Where is the button? The button. Oh, there's the button. Hey guys, thanks. Big shout out to all my patrons out there. And don't forget to check out other YouTube channels linked below, such as Ventrix doing some deck construction in Kaldheim. Great video to check out if you want to know what's going on. All right, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a great one.